Hello, everybody. I'm very excited to talk to you today about event-driven Salesforce automations in Slack. My name is Melissa. I'm a product manager on Canvas in Slack, and I'm very excited to share all the information today that we'll be covering with Salesforce and Slack and Flow and Canvas and Elevate. So let's get started. First, a forward-looking statement. Just everything that's presented needs to be covered by this lawyer talk. And I'm just going to jump in. I wanted to ask our audience, how many of you are using Salesforce Flow today? A good number of you. How many of you are using Slack's Workflow Builder? Okay, well, a little less. And I just wanted to share with you today, we're going to be talking about both of them, a little bit leaning into Slack Workflow. I think it's less familiar, and I wanted to give you guys a little bit more acquainted with it. To kind of talk about the differences between Slack Flow and Workflow Builder, Salesforce Flow is really grounded in Salesforce. You have native integrations, decision logic, screen flows, and when it comes to how Salesforce Flow connects with Slack, there are some automations there. There's 10 Slack Flow actions, but really if we want to do automations in Slack, Slack Workflow Builder is the native option. And for that, we have 20 native Slack steps, 60 connectors that reaches out to different third-party apps. If you want, you can scan the QR codes to learn a little bit more about each one if you're not familiar. And I will give you a second to do that. So like I said, we will be talking a little bit more about Slack Workflow Builder. And recently, we've enabled a lot more connectors to outside systems. So we can automate work not only with Salesforce, but some of the other apps that you might be familiar with, whether or not it's Google, Suite, Asana, Box, Atlassian. Those steps are available in Slack's Workflow Builder. So you can have workflows that are triggered that integrates across different systems. And 80% of the people who build Slack workflows aren't technical. We can have multiple tools tied together, all with one workflow. And this really helps us connect our productivity essentials and department tools all together. So in terms of Slack customer stories, we see a lot of large customers automate their processes using Slack's Workflow Builder. We have IBM, who's over 3,000 workflows to really streamline their business processes, and T-Mobile, who's also using Workflow to automate information gathering. We have a lot of different business outcomes that happen when you start to do automation. Today I'm going to be covering 4 different product areas. We talked a little bit about Salesforce Flow, where that's a no-code automation experience within Salesforce. We also are talking about Slack Workflow Builder, which is the automation surface within Slack. And you may not have heard about it, but we have a new Slack add-on called Slack Sales Elevate. And this integrates with Sales Cloud to have integrations to view notifications, metrics, and also to set up Salesforce workflow triggers. And we're really going to lean into that today. Canvas was released last year in Slack, and it's a collaborative surface in Slack. You can insert workflows into Canvas to make it really easy to click a button and launch a workflow. But we're also going to be able to not just launch workflows, but write to a canvas and populate a canvas using workflows today, too. So we want to talk a little bit about the sales journey. And I know when it comes to talks, I love seeing demos. So I'm going to show you not 1, not 2, but 5 different demos, get ready for this, about the sales journey. So each one of these, we're going to show how we can talk about Flow and Workflow Builder and Elevate to be able to coordinate this process. For the sake of time, they are recorded, but I wanted to be able to go through each one of those. So when it comes to the sales process, our salespeople have a lot of conversations, and they need to know if they should convert a lead to a contact. In order to do that, they have to log into Salesforce to convert their lead. We might want to chat with colleagues before having those conversions, and the best place to do that is to have that in Slack. So you can have a message and say, hey, do we want to convert this lead or not, or who's going to follow up? All of that communication is really great within Slack. So let's walk through this. Here, I'm going to insert a new lead in Salesforce. I'm going to fill out the information. This is somebody I want to talk to. And I'm going to fill out this title. All of this is within the standard lead object. And what's going to happen after I create this lead is I'm going to go into Slack, and then I'm going to get a notification. And this is coordinated with our workflow builder. We can see here, this is the Leads AMR West channel, and we can have conversation about all the different leads that are happening. So if we wait a second, we can get a new lead alert. So we have this convert lead to contact. With this, previously we would get a notification in Salesforce, and it had a button to open in Salesforce. We can also have conversations, like I said, with our colleagues to see what the follow-up actions are. But with this new workflow that I built with Workflow Builder, I can click a button and convert a lead to contact. So I click a button and wait a second, and I get a response that says, hey, this lead has been converted. I didn't have to go to Salesforce at all. If I go into Salesforce, I can see how that contact was converted. Again, not even going into Salesforce. How was this built? Well, we used a combination of Workflow Builder and oops, here we go. Workflow Builder as well as Flow. Here's Slack's Workflow Builder, and we can see the logical steps here, and the trigger is using Sales Elevate. So whenever a new lead is generated, this is the condition to start the workflow. We have a message here that allows us to send it to a channel, and we have those variable tokens that pull information from Salesforce. I also have a button that you can click, and that moves us on to the next step in the workflow. I can click on that, and it's running a flow. I've identified the flow here, and I've mapped the information from the Salesforce record into the flow actions and the details there. And then I have a button that, or a message that gets sent that says this lead has been created. So in Flow, I can see the edit record steps, which I'm pulling information, and that will then create the contact. So we talked a little bit about converting a lead to contact. The next step in our sales journey is to be able to log a call. For a salesperson, they have to log into Salesforce to log a call. And it's really fundamentally important to stay on top of all the calls we have with our customers. They want to be able to log a call from Slack, so you don't even have to context switch out of Salesforce, and you can log a call as soon as it happens. So this is what it typically looks like in Salesforce, where you have to click on a field, enter the information. It's really important that our reps do this. So now I'm going to show you what this looks like with Sales Elevate. This has recently been GA'd. This is Sales Elevate. This is the sales dashboard where I can find information about Salesforce reports. I can also get sales notifications on what's happening. And all of this is in Slack. I can click the Log a Call button, put the activity in, and add comments. This ensures that all the information captured from the call gets sent directly to Salesforce. When I type in the name of the contact that I just converted, it looks it up in Salesforce as well. I can also look up related opportunities. So I'm going to start typing, and I can see the opportunity that this is going to come up with. I click on Save, and then I'm going to check what this looks like in Salesforce. It's been saved. I'm going to switch over. And under the Activity section, I can see that new call that's been generated. Right over here. So I didn't have to go into Salesforce. I could log the call all directly while staying in Slack. So we've done two steps. We've converted a lead. We've also logged a call. The next step in our sales process is meeting prep. Coordination and meetings with executives can be really challenging. You want to make sure that you inform your executives and want to make it easier to approve and prep for meetings. And oftentimes this isn't standardized. People have different meeting topics that they want to make sure they cover. but it can be really dispersed. It can happen over email and different communications channels, and we wanted to streamline that business process. In this demo here, our Salesforce instance has a custom object for appointments. And I know a lot of times in Salesforce, people are concerned. Yes, we do things with standard objects. Will this work for custom objects? And here's a demo to show you that it does work. This is Canvas. I'm going to start off here. And in this canvas, I have defined an executive meeting request from Salesforce. I have it very well laid out. I have these new tokens that I'm calling Canvas variables. And that allows me to pull information from Salesforce to populate this canvas. I'm going to go into Salesforce, into my new custom object, and set a new appointment. And in this case, I'm going to set an appointment for an executive. I'm going to say which account this is for, as well as specify the time and the date and the opportunity and the account that this relates to. This is great because I have all the information in Salesforce, but I want to have a conversation about what this meeting is about. And for that, I'm going to do that within Slack and Canvas. So I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to go back to Slack and see what happens. So I get a new message, and I can see the canvas here. I can open it, and we can see how all the information from that appointment record now populates this canvas. So you see the new opportunity. I can fill out information on top of that in terms of the goal of the meeting, the health and status of the relationship, that attendees can be pulled as well. So this is really a good mix between structured content that may be in Salesforce and that conversational content that's great to have within Slack. How was this built? We use that Elevate trigger that I talked about, and this time whenever a new appointment record gets created, this workflow gets kicked off. I'm going to copy an existing Canvas template that I showed you earlier and map those Salesforce fields to the variables in Canvas. Then I'm going to share the canvas and have a message about the new appointment that has been generated. So that's all the back end of how this works. We have Elevate, we have Canvas, and Workflow Builder doing all this coordination. Two more steps in our sales process. We have the deal handover. We've had the exec meeting, they've had a good conversation, and guess what? We've made the sale. Now it's time for a deal handover. And this is where we move the details from our sales team to the implementation team. And we want to make sure our customer success team has the full context of the account and the account history, and I want to make sure I don't forget anything. So again, I have this deal handoff template that I've defined in Canvas. I have the variables that I've listed. In this case, I'm pulling information from a standard object, an opportunity. And this happens when the stage will change. So if we have an opportunity that goes to close one, we'll kick off this template. We can have this structured as well to pull in information, but talk about the background, some key contacts. And this is a great checklist for things that I want to make sure I have a conversation about between the sales team and my customer success team. This helps standardize our business processes. Now we're going to go into Salesforce and trigger that, that change in our deal. So we move from negotiation, closed, marking it as closed, won. And then we're going to go back into Slack and see what happens. Yay. And this time, we are actually not going to just send a DM, but we're going to send it to the Accounts West channel, so everybody knows what's happening. So we have the message sent, here's the deal handover, and now our AEs and SEs can have the conversation about this deal with the context of the opportunity copied over. We have one last clip, and this is in terms of an account plan. I know a lot of you are very interested in the account plan process, and this is to make sure your account is successful. We might go through this annually or quarterly, and it's a way for us to plan our strategic bets and see how our projects align. So we want to make sure the key players are involved. So again, I have that account plan template. It looks different than the deal handover, but I can pull in the account information and maybe some opportunity information as well. As a user, I can define key relationships and strategies that I want to make sure that we talk about whenever we spin up a new account plan. So we see those variables again, those are defined, and the account strategy sections on the bottom to make sure we talk about these different areas, and the solution strategy as well. So similar to the deal handoff, I'm going to mark this closed. I'm showing this when the stage changes, but it's really up to you how you would like to have this workflow triggered. And it could be based off of a new record, and you can also add a lot of other criteria to kick off this workflow. And that's all with Sales Elevate. We wait, we get a DM, and here's the account plan. And that's pulling in, again, information not only on the opportunity that just got triggered, but the related record as well. So we're pulling account information. So we can see Haven, the industry, the annual revenue, as well as the opportunity. And this is, again, getting us kick-started. We have a timestamp listed to know when the last snapshot of this was taken, and it is really helping us have those conversations. All right, so we went through 5 demos in 15 minutes. I'm going to give a quick overview of what we covered. We talked about converting a lead, and we used Workflow Builder and Flow. We talked about logging a call all within Slack, and that's where we use Sales Elevate, where you can click a button to log an activity. We have a meeting prep, and that's where we use, again, Workflow Builder, Elevate, and Canvas. We did that for meeting preps, deal handover, and account plans, showing you both custom objects, standard objects, and related objects, all pulling in that information to populate that canvas. I know a lot of you are very familiar with Salesforce Flow. So we talked about Workflow Builder, and there is a step in Slack's Workflow Builder where you can run a flow, and that's the one I used at the very beginning of the demo. For those of you who have a lot of Salesforce Flow, and maybe less familiar with Workflow Builder, how can you get access to all those connectors? How do you have access to all those Slack native steps? Please pull out your phones, scan this code. This is an article written by our Slack champion, Daniel Sanchez. He just wrote this the other day and messaged me, and I was like, perfect timing, I'm giving a talk. This is allowing us to enable webhook workflows with Salesforce Flow. So if you have Salesforce Flow, you could do a lot of these steps and have that flow initiate these Canvas automations as well. I will note some of these automations are tied to Grid. We did go over 5 demos, and I would like to say that everything I showed you is GA'd. There's no vaporware. What I've showed in terms of Canvas variables and Elevate, all that is available to you guys now. If you want to have more information, please talk to me afterward. So in terms of the roadmap, I can speak to Canvas. Canvas variables and custom templates is GA'd. It's rolling out if you're on release train, but it is available for you. If you are familiar with Slack's platform, the Dino SDK has been released, so the custom steps that I showed you, or the Canvas steps that I showed you, is available for you to build as a developer as well. We are looking at Canvas public APIs, so if you have existing Slack apps and you want to integrate with Canvas, all those features that I showed you in Workflow Builder, we want to expose in the API as well. So that's doing a pilot kicking off. So if you're interested in pilot, let me know. And then we're going to have that roll out later on in the next quarter or 2. I have a couple minutes for questions, and I have some standard slides to show you about Trailblazers and joining the Slack developer program. Any questions? I covered a lot of material. I just wanted to see. Yes. Is there a mic?
We're not set up for live Q&A.
Oh,
You're welcome to take your questions offline. Thank you for attending.
Yes. We're actually at time as well, so thank you. Let me know if you have anything. I'll be here.